year class during Joe Paterno's era that never either went undefeated or won a national championship.
Really?
Yeah, it was really odd.
Yeah, it was weird.
But it was a weird 4 years. Yeah, they won it 87, was it?
My senior year. Yeah.
87, and then they turned around and won it in, well, they went undefeated in
94.
94. Yeah, well, they bookended me, but I.
Okay.
So.
We're going to have Bob say a few words and then Travis, and then we'll open up to questions.
Perfect. Well, good. I don't want to interrupt and stay reminiscent. But I do want to talk a little bit about how we got here and where we are, because I think there has been discussion about the process and how it's rolled forward, and I want to make sure you all understand, because there's no question that this year, as the season progressed, it became more and more clear to me, and I think to all of us, that some level of change was going to be essential. And whether it's the challenges on the field, the challenges off the field, the challenges in the clubhouse, whether it was watching too many of our former players perform at a high level at other organizations, the level of frustration that I felt, the level of frustration that I know our fans felt. We simply cannot continue down that path. And so I begun early in August, as I have in the past, multiple discussions with multiple people in and around the game, in Pittsburgh, at other clubs, at the commissioner's office, just trying to get a sense of where we were missing and where we need to move forward onto a different path. And I think out of multiple conversations, it became increasingly clear to me that we needed really to take a deep look at this organization. And so, where that brings us is today, and really what's most important is where we're heading as we go forward. And so, incredibly excited and pleased to announce Travis, and wanted at the same time to give him the opportunity, the organization opportunity, to begin a search for a new general manager now. I don't think that could have been done until we had Travis in place. And at the same time, I wanted to have that conversation with Neil, because he and I have worked closely together and effectively together for more than a decade, and I have a tremendous amount of respect and appreciation for what he's done for the club. Certainly took us from a window of nearly just over 2 decades of not even a winning season to 3 playoff appearances. Really helped move us forward in many significant ways, and I want to make sure that I honor and respect the contributions that he made. And still, it's time to move forward. And so we're going to move forward with Travis, who, again, I believe is exactly the right person. He's going to be great. We have someone with a passion and a deep connection to the city of Pittsburgh, with a family who is connected and wants to be here. We have someone with a consistent track record of success in a very strong organization that had been energetic, innovative on the ice and in the arena, communicating effectively, building relationships throughout the community as well as with the fan base. And so we have areas in every one of those where we can improve at the Pittsburgh Pirates, and I think that Travis is exactly the right person at the right time to drive us forward.
Thanks, Bob. This is a real homecoming for me, both personally and professionally. I'm glad to be coming back to my city and my home, and being able to lead my team. Deep down, always been a huge baseball fan. Grew up in the 70s around the Big Red Machine, living on the southeastern side of Indianapolis. Everybody was a Reds fan if you lived on that side. If you were Northwest, you're a Cubs fan. Obviously, I picked the right side to live on. But moving to Western Pennsylvania in the 80s, obviously the Bonds, Bonilla, Leland era was something special, and it really reeled me in and cemented me here. Also glad to be back with the Pirates organization in general. my early career, 12 years was spent at Reed Smith. A good chunk of those was acting as outside counsel to the Pirates, working on PNC Park, working on the naming rights deal, the television rights deal, the development deal with the Steelers. So obviously have a lot of experience with the organization and also a lot of personal experience with Bob and his family through those years. So when Bob asked if I'd be interested in coming back and taking this role, I jumped at the chance to come back. I mean, not only just to return to a city and team that I love, but also because of the commitment that Bob and his family have demonstrated to me as part of this process, that they want to bring back the winning tradition. They want to get back to a culture of winning. And I'm excited about that opportunity. And I honestly would not have come back to Pittsburgh if I didn't have that commitment from Bob. That was a big part of our discussion. So I'm ecstatic to be here. My family, my wife Nikki, and our 6 kids couldn't be more ecstatic. Most people don't everybody boomerangs back to Pittsburgh. Most people don't boomerang back so quickly. We had a great time in our short stint in New York. A lot of positives there, but I'm really, really excited to be a part of this. Reconnecting with not only the elected officials, community leaders, business leaders, but most importantly, really looking forward to connecting with our fans. And so, this is a fresh start for the organization. We're turning the page starting today. We're not going to look backwards and point fingers or place blame on anyone. I have the utmost respect for Neil, for Frank, and for Clint. They all have done great things throughout their tenure. I knew them all well when I was here with the Penguins, and always admired and respected their passion for this organization and their commitment to it. But we're going to learn, we will look back and learn from our past, both the good and the bad. Some things have been done really well. Some things we just need to learn from and move forward and correct. We're going to go through a process of evaluating everything, working as a team to develop a plan. We're going to put the right people and resources in place in order to be successful. It's going to start with doing all the little things right all the time, and it's going to end with accountability. Accountability to ourselves, including myself, accountability to our fans. And that's going to be really important. We're going to get better step by step, day by day, season by season. And we're going to return this franchise back to a winning tradition. And we're not going to accept anything less. That's my commitment to Bob when I took this position. It's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to flip a switch and all of a sudden be in the World Series tomorrow. It will be a journey. We're asking everyone to bear with us, be a part of that journey, join us. We're going to make it exciting and fun along the way. So when we get to that point of success, which we will, everybody will enjoy it all that much more. So really excited to be here and be back not only in the city of Pittsburgh, but in particular to be back with this franchise again.
There are so many areas that I'm sure you're aware of that need addressed, from player development, drafting, retention, development at the major league level. Then there's the whole issue of the clubhouse culture and problems there this year, and a growing apathy, I think, among some of the fan base. The fact that, Travis, you're the first hire, don't get me wrong, but not a baseball guy per se, tells me that perhaps mission number one is to, I guess what Clint had said when he got to rebrand, reboot the team with the fan base to get past the cultural problems and the apathy problem. Is that your first line of attack, do you think? Or?
So you asked a lot in that question, so let me just break down a little bit. First, yes, I agree, that's a good inventory of our issues. We have issues up and down throughout that spectrum that we need to improve on. Not all of them are broken, but all of them have opportunities for improvement. And particularly the last one you hit, which was the improvement at the continued improvement in coaching at the major league level, which, as you know, we addressed immediately at the end of the season, at least to begin that process. In terms of the baseball guy, hockey guy issue, I think we have exactly the right person with Travis for a couple of reasons. One, no question that the connection to the city of Pittsburgh and understanding Pittsburgh and the fans and the community is critically important. I think that it is important to have someone who can ask the right questions, who's been part of an organization, and certainly have done that in hockey. And sometimes having that ability is more important. And then frankly, I think having a certain amount of separation between a team president and a general manager in the is healthy. I don't want a president who's a co-general manager who knows everything about baseball. I want someone who can drive and hold accountable our new general manager and a general manager who understands that role.
And Rob, I would just add to that, I think if you look at the Penguins model, which is where I come out of, I mean, David oversees both hockey and business, but obviously he's brought in a quality general manager. We had one before, we made a switch. And I went through that process with him, but we made a switch, and we have a great general manager. You know, they have a great general manager in place now. David's not making day-to-day hockey decisions. I would not be looking to make day-to-day hockey or baseball decisions. But certainly, I think the model that has worked there has been very successful, one that I believe in, and one that I think that, you know, I would want to model the working relationship with the GM going forward here.
Bob, if the process began in August on the heels of a 4-24 stretch, and it reaches its conclusion this week, really, why did you at the end of September come out and say that this was a leadership team that was right for the future when it clearly wasn't?
Well, I think at that point in time, one, final decision had not been made, and more importantly, I don't think anyone could be put in the untenable position that it would have put Neil in at the end of the year if you didn't have a vote of confidence of him at that point in time. Clearly he's going to be under review, but if we undermine him even further, it wouldn't be fair to the individual. Wouldn't be fair to the work that he needed to get done, including getting the manager process started. And frankly, it would be irresponsible, I believe, to get started with a new general manager search without a team president in place. And so really having Travis here, being able to begin that process today to move forward drove the timing as much as anything else.
Could you, I don't know when you found out that Frank was leaving, could you not have gotten Travis earlier to not put yourself behind the 8 ball in the hiring of a GM and a manager?
Good. One, I don't think we're behind the 8 ball. I think we actually have a timing and flow that's going to work very effectively. We have very good groundwork that's been done by a good, competent team in our baseball operations to start working through the list. Travis has already begun the process of reaching out to those manager candidates who fully understand and embrace. Yeah, we want to make sure that we have a good connection with the new general manager. I think the timing actually is working very well for us.
You don't think it's, oh, sorry.
And along those lines, we've named Kevin Graves as the interim GM. Kevin and I are in regular communication at this point going forward. We've got, as Bob has said already, there's a lot of great pieces in place at the baseball operations side. A lot of things are doing really well. That leadership team among them will be able to continue to move this forward while we're doing this search. And we'll do this search as quickly and efficiently as possible. Went through a quick one across the river. We'll be able to command one here along the same lines, but we're also going to do it we're not going to rush for the sake of putting somebody in place. We're going to do it in a way that will ultimately get the right person in place to really put us to the next level and bring us back to that winning tradition that we're looking for. So along the way, we're not going to comment on the process until we're done. And once we announce a new general manager is when we'll talk about the process, but not up until then.
Bob, you said you had conversations about where you found the organization was falling short with other people in baseball, the commissioner's office, things like that. How have those conversations, how are you going to use those as a guide as you go through this process about what kind of person you're looking for when you hire Travis, and then when you go down the list to find a general manager and a manager to tailor to those shortfalls that you discovered when you were having those kind of conversations?
Yeah, absolutely. And I will say strengths and shortfalls because I really believe that we have both. No, absolutely, that's what's going to inform a thoughtful and careful decision-making process that we have to have going forward. it's critically important to me that we get this right. It's critically important to our fans that we get this right. I really view myself as a long-term steward of a public institution. You know, the Pittsburgh Pirates since 1887 have been a part of Pittsburgh, and we need to honor and respect, and we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to put the organization in the best possible position for success on the field and the best possible connection with the community off the field.
Were there specific things that you brought up that you feel like are standing out to you as you go through this process that you're looking for to get that you maybe didn't have before?
Yes.
Care to elaborate on that?
I don't think that's really fair. I don't think it's really fair to the team coming in. I don't really think it's fair to the existing team. But no, we absolutely have work to do. We have work to do throughout the organization. And we're going to start getting it done.
The World Series ends tomorrow, 5-day quiet period. Monday, contract options, free agency, all that stuff comes at you 100 miles an hour. Is it reasonable to, do you think you could have a GM in place that quickly? And if not, then how do you approach those early days using an interim GM? Is that more of a group thing at that point, or how would that work for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I think we have a very good team in the organization now. We have people, I have faith in Kevin being able to access what we have. We have Travis here, and I believe that's one of the many reasons that moving promptly through the GM process to keep that interim window as tight as we possibly can will be important.
Do you anticipate keeping anyone, Kyle, Broadway, Galacari, any top lieutenants?
I really am afraid that if I start picking and choosing people that we're going to keep or not keep, one, it's not fair to that group that I haven't talked to, and more importantly, it's not fair to the general manager who's going to come in, who has to build a team, who has to be comfortable. That's shouldn't be my decision. Right. It should be their decision.
Bob, whose decision was it to fire Neil?
My decision.
Yours.
I've worked with Neil for over a decade. There are very few people who I like more personally and respect more, and I think out of respect for our history, our friendship, and his professional excellence, that's something I needed to have the discussion with him personally and directly.
If you look from about maybe 2005 to maybe 2015, where the Penguins organization and your organization went through, I mean, not identical, but similar rises, and then they were able to maintain that, and you guys have not been, obviously very major differences between the sports and the way they're organized, but was that the success of that organization something you felt like you needed to do a better job of replicating outside of hiring Travis, and did that have a part of this decision?
I'm not sure exactly how to answer that other than clearly the Penguins have done a tremendous job in many areas. However, it is important to recognize that they are very different sports, very different process, whether it's the development through a minor league system. And I think that there are probably more differences than similarities. The important similarities, Travis, you've already talked about, which are going to be culture and leadership and tone and connection. And those are pieces that I think every great organization needs, and I believe that we have as we go forward.
Yeah, I think there are also things that on the business side where we could, I can steal a page of my own book. And all the great work that we as a team did at the Penguins in terms of engaging the fans, the arena experience, translating that into a great ballpark experience. We're already starting with one of the best ballparks in America. Everywhere I go, when I tell them I'm from Pittsburgh, it's one of the first things they say is that's an unbelievable ballpark. So we want to build on that and continue to create an unbelievable experience. We want to continue to build on the great relationships we already have with our fans and expand those. Our fans invest not only their time and money, but they invest with their hearts. They're very passionate. We've seen that through social media, how passionate they are. We just need to listen to them, and we need to deliver on our promises back to them. And we'll continue to do that and get better and better. And last but not least, we need to be good in the community. I think that's something that we did really well in the Penguins. I think that's quite honestly something that is underappreciated in terms of what Bob and his family and what Pirates Charities do for the community. I think it's gets lost in the overall narrative of the team sometimes, and so I think that's something that we need to improve, not only the narrative, but we also need to build on that foundation, continue to invest in the communities in which we do business, where our fans come from, and find ways in which we can be as impactful as possible in those communities, helping whether it be young children or whether it be other causes that we're already involved in, but continue to be good corporate citizens.
Is that one of those foundational things, like some of the work you guys did with Penguin, with youth hockey, all that, sorts of ways of connecting? Is there an analog here? Is it Pirate Charities? Like what is the analog versus when it comes to the investment and the time that you guys put into the growing youth hockey with the NHL team?
Well, I think a couple things there. One is obviously really early for me to be able to give a specific answer around that. There's a lot of people doing great work already under Patty Paytas and her team in terms of what they're doing in the community. It's certainly something that I'm familiar with on the hockey side in terms of what not only the NHL programs are, but what the Penguins, who were the originators of a lot of the NHL programs, came out of Pittsburgh in terms of what we did on Sidney Crosby Learn to Play. I think there are easy corollaries between things that hockey is doing in that regard and translating that into baseball. I know, in terms of the Miracle Field and the commitment that Bob and his family and Pirates Charities has made to those things, and in terms of youth baseball and some of the other programs that are already in place that I'm becoming familiar with, there's things that we can continue to build on, and hopefully, it really serves two purposes. One is it's a great way, obviously, to do the right thing and help youth stay active. There's also the aspect of it too that it helps you, once they become a fan at an early age, they stay a fan for a long time. We saw that in hockey, and would certainly look for that type of opportunity here as well.
You mentioned commitment in there again. That was something you spoke about earlier.
I don't want to make that a longer answer than it already was.
Yeah.
But just as you went through in terms of youth initiative particularly, just a couple of things that I think are worth noting. And you and I haven't really developed this,
Yep.
but one of the things critically important at the Major League Baseball level that I work with the Commissioner's Office on, and we're trying hard to take more seriously here in Pittsburgh, is the play ball activity and rethinking how kids learn to play and get engaged in at an early stage. Clearly, fan avidity, what creates a fan, how early did you come to a game as a kid and did you play? So it's something the league is taking seriously and we're trying to do, and one of the models that we have looked at has been USA Hockey, because they do a fantastic job making the game fun for kids to get started. Soccer's begun to do that, one ball, one kid. How do you make it fun? And baseball needs to be fun. Part of play ball is how do you do more throwing? How do you do more activity? How do you do more running? Not how do you stand and wait? How do you make it really engaging for the youth? And so I've talked with Commissioner Manfred, talked with Gary Bettman, talked with a number. That is something that we as an industry can learn from. There is no question that we can do that more effectively in Pittsburgh. Not a explicit reason for Travis to be here, but a great benefit to have him here, because that will be a critical element, and I believe Pittsburgh will be a leader in baseball as we drive some of that innovation forward.
I can tell you firsthand it works. My 3 youngest sons out of our 6, all baseball players, love the sport. Not one of them actually played hockey for a little while, but none of them have skate. They don't put skates on. Don't print all that. But I can tell you firsthand, it does translate into them becoming fans, because they live, breathe, eat, drink baseball. So, Dad's a hero today.
Bob, there's been some criticism, I think maybe unfairly, that you don't have a commitment to winning. And I don't think anybody who owns a big league club, you can't have a desire to win, otherwise why get into it? I think though part of the problem was that your business model too often in the past was framed by your general manager and others as, well, let's just get the 500 and see what happens. And that's a message people don't want to hear. Is that indeed your business model? I guess what is the business model, and is the business model that you've been following under the previous administration, will that at its core need to change?
Yeah, well, again, a lot in that question, but fundamentally, the concern about not committed to winning, the narrative on the economics of baseball is one we have to change, because it's not an accurate narrative. One, I am absolutely committed to this organization. I am deeply committed to being an effective steward of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and there is nothing that was more fun for the city than that 2013, 14, 15 run. And what was engaging was not only getting a chance to see what was going on the field, but to see the reaction of the community and the reaction of the fan base as we came together as a community around Pittsburgh Pirate baseball. We are 100% committed to moving back into that direction. So how do we get there? I think Travis has already begun to outline how do we build that plan with the general manager? How do we rethink in a very difficult economic circumstance, uneven playing field in baseball? How do we have a winning culture, and how do we have performance? We've done that for some years here. We need to be more innovative. We need to be back out on the cutting edge. We need to look at Tampa Bay. We need to look at Oakland. We need to look at the Twins. There are models out there where we can be more creative, more dynamic, more innovative, and not just from smaller markets. So all of those pieces need to come into play. I think the era of being able to be, let's get to 500 and see how it works, cannot work in today's environment. And you look at our division. We have a division that's going to reward that. We need to be in a position where we are performing at the top of our division, which, whether it's winning a division, which in the current playoff system is critical, or getting back into that wild card situation with the attitude and approach that we can move on to the postseason. So absolutely, we need to adjust all of those issues. We need to adjust the expectations internally and externally, and we all need to be more effective making that narrative real. I'd much rather talk about what we've accomplished than what we intend to do. Don't want words to sound hollow. We need to follow through, we need to execute, we need to do it.
Bob, you're going through this offseason with almost maximum potential turnover when it comes to front office and coaches. Do you expect there to be significant turnover on the field as well, or maybe not?
I think that one will be the answer for the next general manager. I do believe we have a core of some very exciting young players who have real potential. I think that'll be up to Travis, the general manager, and the team that gets built, how those pieces play together, but we definitely have some position players particularly that we can get very excited about. We have some improvement that we need to do in the pitching. How much of that is coaching, approach, leadership? How much of it is talent and arms? I will never be the right person, and frankly, Travis will never be the right person to make those evaluations. I think what he needs to do is make sure we're asking the right questions, setting the right level of expectation, and pushing forward.
Bob, is one of the answers to how to get this team better to increase the payroll? Is that doable?
Yeah, I think in the economic circumstance that we're in, it's challenging, honestly. What is critical is that we are effectively allocating the dollars that we have. And I will make that broader into the overall bucket of baseball operations. We have consistently been in the top 3 or 4 clubs in our development cost, commitment to development. We've consistently